Let me ask you this question. Have you ever talked to someone, or maybe you were like, you talked to someone and you saw them like doing something dumb. And you're like, bro, what are you doing? Y'all ever have those moments with your friends that you're like, what are you doing? Like, why, how did you come up with this idea? Like, it's just like, y'all know what I'm talking about? Where it's just like, this is interesting. Like, what are you doing? And you didn't understand the decision that they just made, or maybe it was you were confused that they decided to act this certain way. For some of you, it's like, why are you dating this person? Like, why? You know, too real. All right, moving on. For others, it's like, why are you acting this way? And the list goes on and on. And so many times I've found in just my life, and because, you know, I'm very just like outgoing personality, but I have a lot of people look at me a certain way, and sometimes they ask me like, what are you doing? I go up and say, hey, how are you doing? How was your day? And they're like, why are you talking to me? You know, like, I'm like, oh, hey, can I help you? Like, somebody like drops something, I go to help, and they just look. Like, bro, you dropped Campbell's chicken noodle soup. I'm helping you out, right? But I have had so many times throughout my life that people have just, I told you about the story about 6 months or 8 months ago, I think, when I got pulled over by a cop, and I was on the way back. Me and Annabelle had like a date night, and I was on the way back by myself, going back to my house, and got pulled over, and the cop comes to the door, and I was like, hey, how's it going? Da, 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 da. Like, how's everything going? Great. And she was like, good. And I was like, okay, great. Well, yeah. And just sparking up conversation. And then she proceeded to ask me, have you been drinking tonight, sir? And I was like, no, I have not. I have not been drinking, you know. And just people think like, man, there's something different with you. And for me, I used to be kind of like, you know, insecure about, okay, well, why are they asking me these questions? But then I just got to a place where I owned it. Because guess what? I want people to look at me and to know that I'm different. I hope people would look at you and know that you're different. Different meaning not by the way you dress. Different meaning not by the way X, Y, or Z, you fill in the blank. Different meaning because you, say with me, you model Jesus. And so what I want to encourage you to do, hey, if we get this front row, bring it in for me. All y'all bring it in for me. But I want people to be able to look at you and know that you are different simply because you have made the decision that Jesus is going to be the Lord of your life, and that there should be, guess what? There should be something different about you. That the way you walk this faith out should back up the talk that you are talking. And I want to title this message tonight and encourage you to be the light. Be the light. Title of this message is Be the Light. And this passage, or this title comes from this passage that's found in Matthew chapter 5, verses 14 through 16. And this is Jesus speaking. He says this, that you are the light. Everybody say the light. The light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand and gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light, everybody say light. Come on, everybody say light. Light shine before others that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Jesus makes a similar statement about how he's the light that John records in his gospel recording. And Jesus states that he's the light of the world. But now Jesus is now talking to his disciples that you're going to be the light. He's giving this sermon that you're going to be the light of the world. And it's not anything about you individually, but it's because you know me. it's because you follow me that there is going to be this light about you that is going to light up everywhere that you go. Can I tell you, if we have stepped into a relationship with Jesus, we are the ones who now show that light. Come on, let me say that again. If you have decided to make Jesus the Lord of your life, surrendered and started following him, guess what? You are now that light. And I want to kind of break this down into the why and why it's important for us to understand that, and then give us maybe some practical steps on how we can be the light in the areas that we find ourselves in. And the first one is this, in regards to the why, is that the light of Jesus should be displayed through us at all times. The light of Jesus should be displayed through us at all times. I love playing basketball. I love playing basketball. There's, especially throughout college, I would hang out with my buddies and we would go to the different rec areas. We're playing basketball, and there are people at the gym that you just know, yeah, you're goated. Like, I want you on my team, right? Everybody know what I'm talking about? They got their beats on, you know, they're like, walking, so, you got next? Okay, cool, like, right? And so, I'm like, I want these dudes on my team, right? I know they're good. But can I tell you, I have this competitive side of me where, man, I play to win, all right? Even when we're playing basketball outside, I don't care that some of y'all are 13. You think that bothers me? I'm going for a dub. Me and Chris, we be having to get ice packs after like some of the times we play. Well, we're trying to win, right? No matter if you're 13, 16, or 18, we'll take y'all all on, right? But this has been my mentality for so long. Like, I'm here to win. I'm competitive. But I remember one moment where I was playing with these guys that were supposed to be really good. And sometimes you get people that think they're too good. Y'all know what I'm talking about? They're too good. And so what they do is, instead of really going all out, playing their hardest to get the win, oh man, they play lazy. And they use the excuse because they're too good. They're like, oh, well, I don't want to do this. I'm like, I don't care. Let's skunk them then. Let's beat them 7-0. Like, come on. Let's get the W. But there's been so many times where I played with people that they're like, they have the talent, they have the ability, but they just don't go and play as hard as I know that they can and be as good as they have shown in the past. And I think about that, and I think about how many times when Jesus is talking about the light, that, man, you know these people have this within them, have this ability to dunk, to be able to take on everybody on the court, but yet they don't. And I think about that us as followers of Jesus. We know the truth of who Jesus is. That Jesus died on the cross for us. He beat death, sent down his Holy Spirit to live within us, to be able to lead us. But yet a lot of us are not acting like we have this knowledge in our mind. A lot of us are stagnant and we're not moving forward. We're like, yeah, I know this, but we're going throughout our school. Okay, whatever, yeah. And still just going through the motions and knowing how to talk the talk, but yet not taking steps to actually walk the walk. See, check out what Jesus is saying in Matthew 5:15. He says this, neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. Can I tell you, we're not told to pick and choose the times we show our light. We're not given, all right, on Wednesdays, I show my light. Thursdays, taking that sucker out, no. See, we're not called to pick and choose the times that we are to show our light, but as a follower of Christ, we are called to be displaying Jesus through the way we live every single day, every hour, every minute, every second. It's not be a light on this day, be a light on that day, not be a light on this day. No, it's every single day. You are called to be the light of the world. And can I tell you, as followers of Jesus, we are called to light up everywhere we go. But you are called to bring about light. Light being the expression of who Jesus is everywhere you go. This is so important. So important. For some of you who have heard this before, but hopefully this is just a good, friendly reminder, encouragement, or maybe for some of you this is new information. But can I tell you, you are not called to only light up with inside the church. It is fascinating about, man, how many people that we have in different churches know when to activate their light then, but yet when we go back into our context of school, of home, on our sports teams, it's like that light never was there. Can I tell you, it's easy on Wednesdays to be the light. Why? Because there's 80-something of you that are already lifting your hands, like you're already in here. It gets harder when you're not the majority anymore. It gets harder when you have people in your school that's not the walk they're gonna walk. Will you still be the light though? Will you still be the light? Here's what I want to do. Caden, Josh, can y'all do the thing I told you about? Boom. Yeah, pretty dark. See, a moment ago, it was easy to light up, to be the light, right? Because we're all worshiping. But what about when you go back home and you have a parent that doesn't believe the same way as you? What about when you go back to your school, when you have friends that don't know who Jesus is and there's more of them than there are of you? Will you still be the light? Because can I tell you, it's easy to be a light when there's other people that are just lighting up around you in an environment like this. But what Jesus is saying in Matthew 5:15 is that don't let your light go under a bowl, because it's when you go in environments that it's completely dark that there should be something that is different about you. People should notice you. That even this simple light right here draws everybody's attention. Are y'all following me tonight? It's a simple light. For most of you, you're entering into your school, you're entering into your household, you're entering on your sports team, wherever you may find yourself, and it's like this. And it's easier to blend in like this because everybody right now, you can't tell who's who. But when you decide to take your decision to follow Jesus to heart, you're meant to be like this. And guess what? Everybody's gonna look at you. And they should, because you're called to be different. You're not called just to blend in. You're called to be set apart. You're called to take steps that signify the decision that you have made to follow Jesus. Are y'all with me tonight? Caden, Josh, we can turn the lights back on. If I truly want to walk it like I talk it, Jesus communicates that we are to be the light of the world and not just within our gatherings together. Come on, look at your neighbor and say, be the light. The light of Jesus should be displayed through us at all times. Second one is this: the way you walk out your faith should always point people to Christ, back to Christ, and not to you. Let me say that again. The way you walk out your faith should always point people back to Christ and not to you. How many of you have like a sibling and that literally that sibling, like if they're trying to like go somewhere or something, they'll like go the extra mile and clean something, right? And you're like, And you know the real reason why they're doing it. They're fooling your parents. They're like, yeah, I just wanted to do that. But now since you asked, right? Like there's ultimately an ulterior motive that's happening there. But, or maybe it's that friend or someone that's just being really nice just to get the recognition or just for people to notice them. You know what? Jesus actually would go on in Matthew 6. Check this out. Listen to this. Be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. So when you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets, to be honored by others. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. I love this passage right here. Can I tell you, we're not doing good deeds for the sake of us just doing good deeds and be recognized for it. We're not just being nice to the person that no one's talking at school just so we can tell our friends, I did that. We're not just showing love, compassion, mercy to people in our lives just for the sake of people saying, great job, good job. No, that's not. Because ultimately, as followers of Jesus, we do good deeds to ultimately point the finger back to the why. Why? Meaning Jesus, the person. Good deeds shouldn't be something that we need to go and do. It should just be a part of already who we are. You don't have to wait till a serve day to go ahead and start serving others. You don't have to wait for someone to put together an environment for you to go ahead and just start reaching people in your school, having conversations with them. Good deeds shouldn't be something that you're trying to strive for each day. It should just be a part of your DNA and who you are. And when you do it, it's not for the recognition of, hey, look at me. But when you do it, it's pointing to, there is something different about me. Because here's the reality. Do I want to, just take an example, give money to other people who may be struggling? No. There are so many other ways I could be spending money, right? Like going the extra mile to talk to someone. No, because everybody, we all, in our minds, we have schedules, we need to get places. But you know what? I'm gonna slow down. Because a part of who I am is being able to notice people. To be able to make sure people know that they are seen, that they're loved, that they're heard, and that they're cared for. Because I'm simply just modeling what Jesus showed me. That I'm loved, that I'm seen, that I'm heard, and that I'm cared for. Are y'all following me tonight? Good deeds isn't something we strive for. It's just a part of who we are as followers of Jesus. See, here's the reality. Jesus wants you to be seen by others. Like we get that in the passage. In the original passage we're looking at in Matthew 5. But only so others might see him working through your life. We are simply meant to be vessels that don't point people back to our greatness, back to our good deed for the day, but simply pointing people back to who Jesus is. That should be the difference that people know about us. And here's the thing, God has always wanted to use people to carry out his plan. The Great Commission that Jesus gives us. Go out into all the world, make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to obey the commands I have given you. That is an assignment for who? Us. God is always wanting to include people, humanity, as the way of being able to show more of who he is. Does that make sense? Because here, Matthew 5:16. In the same way, let your light shine before others that they may see your good deeds. Guess what? It doesn't stop there. And glorify your Father in heaven, so that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven, so that they can be able to see the Jesus within you when you walk out what you talk about. Not for the sake of just doing this so you can morally feel better about yourself, not for the sake of you just going, and here's the thing. Hopefully you're not just doing what in your mind is thinking the church things just to fill your moral, cup up of I did this today. This was my one good deed. Great. No, hopefully you're not even keeping count. That it's just a part of who you are. That the way you live is just a part of who you are. You performing good deeds and just modeling the character of Christ is not something that you're having to keep track of, but it's just something that is a part of who you are. Be the light. Everybody say, be the light. Come on. The light of Jesus should be displayed through us at all times. The way you walk out your faith should always point people back to Christ and not to you. And now let's talk about how we show that. How we show our light is by letting the fruits of the Spirit play out in our life. And Hayden, you can come up for this one. Galatians 5:22, we read it. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. I want to give you 3 ways to be the light this week. 3 ways. 3 ways, just to give you something practical to live out. The first one is this: build someone up. This is going to exercise the fruit of the Spirit of being kind. Build someone up. You know what I love? And I really am so proud of our youth group for this. There was a 5K this past Wednesday. We're not going to talk, or this past Saturday. We're not going to talk about my time. But you know what I love is Eva, actually, she's here. She's over there. She ran the fastest time out of all the girls that competed. Yeah. But what I love is literally, I saw so many, Eva, you were literally on so many Instagram stories. I counted 8 to 10. I was like, all right, Caitlin's posting you, Blythe's posting you, I'm posting you. Everybody is posting, and I'm like, I love this. I love when we just shout each other out and build each other up. People that believe the same way like us, but even building up other people who may not be a follower of Jesus just yet. But shout them out through IG maybe. Send them a text, or even better yet, tell them in person. Build someone up. Man, you know how powerful sometimes it is just to say to someone that, hey, I believe in you. Hey, I'm proud of you. Hey, I know that God's gonna do something big in your life. Hey, I recognize what you've been doing here, and I wanna say it hasn't gone unnoticed. That's something that's super encouraging for people that we get to do as followers of Jesus. That's just simply, we're just building each other up, building up people. Second one is this: don't be easily angered. That's some of y'all, it's a tough one, because some of you guys got some friends and some people you know that just be doing dumb things, right? You're like, they just need a roundhouse kick, Josh. But this exercises the fruits of the Spirit of patience and self-control. James 1:19 says this: know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. How different would you be when someone knows how to press your buttons to get you angry? How different would you be when you say, you know what, it's not worth it. You know what, hey, even though you may talk bad about me, even though you may do this, that, or the other, I'm not gonna go into this period or this season of anger. But you know what? I'm just gonna say, I love you, I care about you, and I'm gonna pray for you. And you practice that patience, that self-control, because everything within you says when somebody does something to you, you do something back. Everything within you says, man, when somebody does this to you, you hold on to that grudge for a very long time and not speak to them and be distant emotionally from them. But what if, as a way of you being the light, of you modeling Jesus in your everyday life, and said, you're expecting me to be angry, but I'm not. And what if you flipped the script and you were different? Because maybe that would lead to somebody knowing that about you, that you are different, that you are the light, and ultimately it's because of Jesus. The third thing is this: radiate joy. Radiate joy. I love Nehemiah 8:10. The joy of the Lord is our strength. Here's the thing. No matter what happens in this life, we're going to have moments where we feel pain, where we feel discouragement. I'm not saying to radiate joy like, no, I'm not saying not to feel. But what I am saying is always be reminded that you have something to be joyful about. That you serve a God who loves you, that sent his son Jesus to die for you, that you woke up with breath in your lungs. And because you woke up with that breath in your lungs, you have been given an assignment to be able to model Jesus wherever you go. So radiate joy is not faking feelings, but radiating joy is just remembering, you know what, I do have something, even if everything is going against me in this life, I still have something to be joyful about. Because if Jesus knows every hair that is on my head, he knows the numbers of hairs on my head, man, that's something for me to be joyful about, that someone was intentionally designing me because they love me. So those are just three practical things I think you do. Build someone up. That involves someone else. Don't be easily angered. That involves the reaction of someone else. And 3, radiate joy, which has to do with your perspective. But ultimately, this should always keep bringing you back to being the light, to people noticing something different about you. Even when you're in a dark space that we were just in moments ago, Jesus has still called you to light up. And you're gonna get seen, and people are gonna maybe feel some type of way about it. But guess what? Still keep your light on. Be the light. Can we do this? Can we just bow our head and close our eyes for a moment?